Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. I hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. We're just going to get into some of the private messages. This person, Streamline, says, just watched about Channel 4. If they already made the documentary based on MWT's so-called investigations, this was my video about, obviously, the Channel 4 documentary, not the actual documentary itself, people. I don't want to confuse anyone. They're also perverting the course of justice. The second inquest is already tainted, and for sure it will be spun as an accident to make this story play out exactly as the government wants it to. I feel so bad for Ali because she's already a victim, and all that work she has done for this case will have been for nothing. I wouldn't really say that at the end of the day, because obviously this case is not over yet. It's just a posturing, and none of us none of us signed up for the version of him. His actions for suspending his own cabinet members because they didn't agree with him speaks volumes. We are literally standing in the middle of Wembley with microphones, TV coverage, and microphones to every country in the world, shouting the truth, but no one will ever hear. But sometimes it's that small bit of information which could absolutely sort this case out. So the streamliner goes on to say, was luckily involved with Rachel's mum. Interesting. So this Sharon Hetherington says, Ayub said he stole Ket, also Zoe. I know her sister-in-law. Yeah, you know Rachel's mum. You deliver sniff 3 Plymouth. Interesting. And then the L says, fuck off. Was Pound's sniffing slapper. Oh my God. And this Sharon says that the truth hurts. Interesting stuff. It then goes on to say, someone called Liam said, I hope he ends up dead, the scumbag. He doesn't deserve anything, and neither does his family. That's awful. How have you wrote a status on the this Nathan says, on the 17th of June, when it's Monday before midnight? Obviously, I know. But the Spanish police says Jay's mum wasn't informed until Tuesday at 2 a.m. or the Spanish police are lying about reported time. This is where I think there is a problem. Reported time. So it then goes on to say, do you remember every time people mentioned the Moroccans, a few said that the East European guy chucked Jay over their shoulder outside the club? This then changed to the Moroccans took him. He stole from the Moroccans. Nothing has ever come off this because we have seen zero footage of the Moroccan men. Looking back, the Moroccan men idea was introduced early on. I wonder if they were covering themselves in case it came out that Jay's was body that was found in the river in Morocco. A bit like Lucy being very anxious to let us know Jay cut his leg on a cactus. And insurance, if you like, as you agree, the drug and lost bag stole is a great way for them to manipulate less sympathy for Jay. No one likes a rug dealer. Add this to his attack on Tom Hill and deserves it in some people's eyes, which a lot of people who didn't like Jay or really didn't give a toss about this case had said this, but it simply didn't work, did it? There were still many holes in the story, so we continue to look and we keep finding it. Interesting that people have mentioned the money mule element. This puts Lucy's firmly in the frame, not the innocent person who must have been ordered to lie. The person who left early was not at the Airbnb, was searching during the night, yada, yada, yada. She had not yet been caught. But people are naming her for multiple rug selling at many festivals. I'm not sure it was her signing that lease transfer for Potter paper. I think it was, to be honest with you. See Little Fancy, where seems to be recruited nice young ladies for Potter and maybe rug running. We also no doubt whatsoever that she was using Jay's bank account. Yep, that is proven. So this was a message, basically, Debbie Duncan talking about Jay, and this was going back on the 17th of June by someone called Vicky. So this is actual Debbie Duncan's profile, and it says, has still not been found. Police are out searching. If any of his friends look on his messenger. It's active because I signed it to it. I signed into it. Thanks for all sharing, and to all those in Tenerife looking, praying. So the streamliner says this is just plain odd. Debbie stated Jay has still not been found, but this is the 17th of June, the day he supposedly went missing. She was flying out on this day. It's odd. I think, like I said, like you said earlier, I think the Guardia Civil have got something to do with that. We then go on to something about David Larkin. I may be going mad, but look at the Brandon as a kid. He is so similar to David Larkin. Could DL be BH with head shaved? He was missing from the get-go. Could the little hut be where he stayed? The place where the searchers were last photographed on the 29th of June. Interesting. The press stated they were searching here. Could this be the duplicate Airbnb? I see a square room to the side, same dimensions as the green door. That's interesting. The footprint for the green door, one looks about the same. Interesting stuff. And then the streamliner goes on to say, look what I found. There is something weird though. The kitchen door, this is of the Airbnb, appears to have no steps outside, and there are the rooms in the old picture. But I think Bar Masca was perhaps not a bar before it was sold. I know from my hotel voters that it's really important to do aesthetically pleasing angles and shots. So things like tea stations and bookcases, and even the bed with cream linen could just be mocked in the corner of the bar. Interesting stuff. You could be right there. It could have been an old bar. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, a couple were found dead in a hotel room with visible signs of violence? Then they printed a few days after there was nothing to see here. Has there been any more news on that? Very, very interesting stuff. I think, like I said, we need to look at the Guardia Civil due to what they put out there in the early days. I think it's very, very important. And this person says, obviously, the police are awful out there. I figured out that Tom H was on the blue Maruba. The red Maruba would have Jay on. That makes more sense because they had put pictures of the blue on as a backdrop to the ransom snap. For some random reason, the canopy, they wanted the police to see and search that one. Interesting stuff. Really looking into this case, this person, and has been for a very long time. Also, I figured out the black and white picture of Jay dancing in what looked like Lucy apartment, and this made sense of the Jay last Snapchat too. The black and white pictures were done on a green screen. It was Lucy's apartment used as the background. And Brad is placed first onto the background, and that is why his shorts make him look delighted. Notice he doesn't move. Jay is already DEAD. This could have been him dancing about anywhere, and solid background would work. Simply cut him out and place him on the new background. This is, I've always said this, that some of these pictures has been manipulated and really being distorted and put onto other backgrounds as well. And people are actually really looking deep into this. Well done, Streamliner. Debbie was misunderstood that she had graded him to be a nearer the strip. I know with any big event in any place, the hotels nearest the main event sells puts first. He was probably lucky to get a room in Cristiano's NRG. Will have held a number of rooms for the number of ticket sales. Definitely. Hotels will hold back some for other tourists who may have already booked, and some may hold rooms for those that are not happy for a super premium. We used to only allow 10 days booking or more for the Eastbourne International Tennis. We would always sell out and the price increase as the more important matches progress. Some people would book the 10 days but tell us that they would not check in for 3 days after the book date. Yeah, so the tickets can be resold. These rooms for one night stay only. I understand that could be extended by one night if still available. Equally, people may check out early and we would resell as many nights were available. The second apartment did look much nicer than the first, even though it was just as far away. With Jay's last snapshot, I don't think that the blanket ever left pension player. Interesting. 2 people were holding it and it was not wrapped around it. It was loose. The fag and lighter in the one hand, if you hold your phone yourself at that angle to take that picture, it's really hard. There must have been at least one person holding the blanket. This is creepy, isn't it? When you look at it like that. Greg helped me by trying himself without the blanket. All then did was get Ayub to stand up on the step, remove the background of the blanket and shoes, shot there, and you have a very easy Photoshop of a person in a blanket on a green step. Wow. Really, really deep, interesting stuff. And I know obviously this streamliner has done a lot of work of the photoshopped pictures as well, and discussing them. It's someone who's really looked into this case deeply, and I've seen a lot of fabrication in this case by Ayub and by others who have expertise in this. And like I said, we know that Ayub knows a lot of musicians as well, and basically who computer programmers about basically music, audio and stuff like that, and graphics. There's a lot of people that are involved in this, and it's just sick when you think that they would go to all this trouble to cover what wasn't an accident to Jay Slater. Thank you very much to the Streamliner. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and let me know what you think, because there's some really interesting deep points there. Once again, thank you all. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment, and don't forget to tell your family and friends about the channel, because we are trying to get to the 10,000 mark before the year's out. So help me try and get there. Thank you very much indeed. Justice for Jay.